and I'll just do, before we get started, I do want to do an introduction to what Fil-CHA is and what the Mental Health Committee is. We are recording this session. If you do not want to be, this actually was when we had the previous webinar, excuse us. Just please know that we are recording this session. And this is and we're doing it in the webinar format. All right, so the Fil-CHA, which stands for the Philippine XAO Community Health Association, was formed to champion health equity, justice, and well-being in the Philippine XAO community through community-driven, collaborative, and data-informed approaches. And our vision is to ensure visibility, accurate data, and equitable allocation of resources for the Philippine XAO community, empowering new and existing movements to create sustainable healing. Originally, we actually had come together, a group of us across the US who are also really concerned about the impact of COVID-19 on our community itself, particularly around, the nurses who were greatly impacted. And we just thought it was an opportunity to also just come together and continue to work on, the health disparities in our community that pre-existed COVID and just were exacerbated during COVID. So we continued on to take more of a global approach. So there's different committees through Fil-CHA. There's research and data. There is policy and advocacy. There's network and outreach. And we also have this committee, the Mental Health Committee. We also have an executive board that oversees, other types of projects. So the Mental Health Committee came together. We really want to focus on improving the mental health and well-being of Philippine XAO, the Philippine XAO community, through collaborations with the individuals, communities, and organizations from different sectors that really were focused and interested in behavioral health or mental health. And the four main goals is really want to raise awareness about the mental health issues in our community, whether it be through engagement and also providing education, such as these webinars. And through these webinars, we also want to take an approach that helps to destigmatize mental health and normalize help-seeking behaviors. And by doing that we want to do that by also improving access to a range of services, health, mental health, and social service. And last but not least, by taking a different perspective on mental health and promoting holistic and culture appropriate approaches, that speak to the Filipinx community that will promote mental health as well as wellness. So before we begin, I want to acknowledge that we are receiving funding for We Can Do This campaign. They've been really targeting to make sure we continue promoting safety precautions, people taking care of themselves with COVID, making sure you're up to date with your boosters, especially in communities of color. So please continue to keep up to date by looking at vaccines.gov. I'll provide resources at the end of this session for where you can go to get your vaccines, but also they keep their information up to date in line with today's webinar. They also have resources of how to cope with stress, and I'll show the information at the end. So we leave on that to make sure that we're also taking care of ourselves and our health. So I just want to say with their funding, we're able to provide these ongoing webinars. So we want to thank the We Can Do This campaign. So what I'd like to do, and I'll turn it over after this, I'm so excited to introduce Sheelagh Cabalda, who is an educator, but also an education activist, as well as a community advocate, and also mindfulness practitioner. She's been inspired in her work with the Filipino value of Kapwa, or what we call sacred interconnectedness, if you're not familiar with our community. And she's also has been trained in mindfulness-based stress reduction, yoga, and mindfulness for children. I'm very excited to be bringing Sheelagh to you guys. I actually had worked with her many years ago in the Filipino community here in New Jersey and New York. She's now in Virginia. So, I'm just excited to also reconnect with her, but also share her wisdom and knowledge with you guys. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing slides and turn it over to you, Sheelagh.
Okay, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be located and joining us. I think we have from what I can see, we have an intimate group this afternoon, and I just wanted to thank Lily, Christine, and Fil-CHA for inviting me to share in this practice. So if you haven't already, grab a snack, a merienda. Maybe it's your afternoon or morning merienda or evening merienda. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to get that. Make sure you have a glass of water. And I'll let you settle in a little bit. Cool, thank you, Lily. And I have cucumbers and Honeycrisp apples, and I've got a glass of water with me. So we're just going to casually start with a mindfulness eating activity. We love to eat, right? Filipinos, Filipino Americans love to eat. Oh, by the way, if any of you caught the Philippine women's soccer game this morning, channel their jubilation. They're like the champions in the Southeast Asia region. So our household was like in an uproar this morning. So we can channel that during our practice today. So you can pick up whatever piece of food or fruit you have. You know, we're rushing all the time, right? If we're working in wherever you are, whether it's, I'm in Northern Virginia, Lily's in New York, I know Christine's out in California. We tend to rush through our meals because we have to tick things off our list and check them off. And I don't know how often we actually take the time to just really be mindful and eat. Maybe that happens when we're with our families and in celebration, but on a day-to-day basis, I know that it doesn't always happen for me. So I want us to just be mindful of our five senses, and we're going to actually practice eating mindfully. So just take your piece of food, or if you have a beverage, maybe it's you have a beverage, but take your piece of food and look at it. Really intentionally look at it and feel it. You know, what do you notice about it when you look at it? What's its texture? And then if you give it a little sniff, does it smell fresh? Maybe it's not so fresh. You can even put it by your ear and listen. Does it have a sound? Or if you feel it with your fingers, does it make any particular sound? And you know, maybe this is uncomfortable, actually going through your five senses to like connect with your food, but even if we're new to mindfulness, it's an opportunity to actually get in tune with how we relate to food and how we just connect to the time that we eat when we sit down to eat. It's just, you know, we're in this culture of rushing all the time, at least American culture, if you're in the States. And we rarely take the time to just observe ourselves and observe our food. So yeah, give a listen. And as you're feeling your piece of food, think about, you know, who grew it, or who planted it, who took the time to watch it grow and take care of it, or who took the time to package it, who took the time to package it and then load it on the truck so that it arrived at the grocery store that you go to once or twice a week, or maybe the farmer's market. Or if you're still getting your groceries delivered, who took the time to actually pick it up at the grocery store and bring it to your doorstep? Lots of folks, go into growing, packaging, preparing, delivering our food. How did it get to your table and into your home? Who are all those people? And maybe just take the time to thank those individuals for bringing this piece of food to you. And if you're ready, you can take a bite. And slowly and mindfully chew. Now, some folks, when we're doing this activity, they say chew your food, anytime, anywhere between 15 to 30 times. I mean, 15 times, I think, is a really long time for most people. And I didn't even chew 15 times. See, I was rushing. So if we are more intentional, we can just keep chewing, even if we have to really be intentional about chewing more times, just to see how it tastes and how it feels in our mouth. And right, our tongue has different areas for our taste buds. So if you roll as you're chewing your food, can you actually pinpoint, the saltiness, sweetness, or tartness, or whatever other tastes are going on in different parts of your tongue? And again, this might feel awkward because we're being so intentional about it, but that's okay. And what sounds do you hear as you're chewing your food, as you're, do you tend to grind your teeth while you're eating, or if you have a crunchy food or a soft food, what does that sound or feel like? What does it taste like? And just run through your senses. And as you continue to do that mindfully, I'm just going to share a thought as you continue to chew mindfully. This food is the gift of the whole universe, the earth, the sky, numerous living beings, and much hard living work. May we eat with mindfulness and gratitude so as to be worthy to receive it. May we recognize and transform our unwholesome mental formations, especially our greed, and learn to eat with moderation. May we keep our compassion alive by eating in such a way that we reduce the suffering of living beings, preserve our planet, and reverse the process of global warming. We accept this food so that we may nurture our sisterhood and brotherhood, strengthen our community, and nourish our ideal of serving all living beings. And as you're being intentional with your chewing, you can think about what your favorite summer meal is, since we are in the summer season. What does your favorite summer meal taste like, look like, smell like? Who usually makes your favorite summer meal? And so hopefully, when you sit down to your next meal today, you'll be a little more mindful and intentional of the food before you. And there are no perfect ways to eat mindfully. Just keep trying, right? Even when we forget, we just kind of reset and say, oh, I need to take the time to thank the folks who brought my food to me today. And that's just it about, if you're new to mindfulness, there's no perfect way. Sometimes it's a little awkward or uncomfortable, and that's okay. If we're making the effort to actually be thoughtful and intentional, that's what counts. You can think of it as mindful snacking. If we forget sometimes, it's okay to remember for a few minutes, and then you'll be better next time. And with that, I'll give you a little bit a few seconds or to wash off your hands, and hopefully that was helpful as we move on to the guided mindfulness part of our practice today. So hopefully you're in a comfortable space, and you're welcome to sit up or lie down, whatever makes you comfortable. And as Lily mentioned, I'm trained in MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. And it's been a treat, especially through the pandemic, to be able to practice with a number of communities the past 2 years. So I'm really grateful that we can share in a practice this afternoon. And if you're new to mindfulness, welcome. And if you're not so new, thank you for being here and practicing with us this afternoon. And part of Kapwa, sacred interconnectedness, is also storytelling, or in our Filipino community, kwentuhan, right? Everyone has a story to tell. And when we meet people, right, we're very conscious of there's a story behind them. And I'd just like for us to take a moment to sit with our stories, and as we connect this afternoon, and I know we're on Zoom, and that can be a challenge, but let's make this is an invitation to really connect with each other, at least for the next 15 to 20 minutes. And kwentuhan, or shared storytelling, allows us to connect. It actually also has an effect on our brain. It allows our mirror neurons to fire, and it actually cultivates empathy language. So as we channel this interconnection and shared storytelling, let's also remember, where did our journey begin? Where did your journey begin? Where are your family's ancestors from? How might our stories be similar or different? And if you can, place your hands on your chest or on your hearts. Just take a moment to take a breath, an easy breath. And as we share in Kapwa and in Kwentuhan, let's invite each other. So if you'll follow me, bring your hands away and in front of you as we invite each other to share in our connectedness and in our shared stories. And then when you're ready, you can just place your hands wherever they naturally fall, or if you're lying down, just place your arms at your side. And you can either close your eyes or just hold a soft gaze. And we're just gonna take a few moments to settle in to the space that you're in. Take a few easy breaths. Be aware of the room that you're in, the sounds in your home or outside your window. And feel the ground beneath you. You can take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath in and exhale. And as I say these Filipino words, I invite you to say them with me out loud or silently to yourself. Hangin. Hangin. Humihinga. Humihinga. Feel the ha in hangin. Hangin. Feel the hu in humihinga. Humihinga. This is our sacred breath. Breath circulates light. It is fundamental to living within our human body. It is simple. It is continuous. Taking the time to breathe is a gift we give to ourselves in the midst of changing winds and life forces. Relax and take a deep breath. Inhale a slow, full breath. Feel the freshness. Sense the inhale and completely exhale and let it go. Breathe in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Pay close attention to your breathing. Notice how your chest expands with every breath you take. Notice how the air fills your lungs and makes them feel full. Notice how your lungs relax and the relief you feel when you expel stale air and any tightness in the chest through your mouth. Feel free to go at your own pace. Feel your lungs become more and more alive with each fresh intake of breath. You can choose to exhale through your nose or through your mouth. It's natural for our minds to wander. If your mind wanders, just guide it back gently. This is an invitation to be in the moment fully and tenderly. Notice your chest expanding with every breath you take in. How the air fills your lungs. Notice your exhale. Notice if your breath is shallow or full. May the center of the changing winds be our sacred breath. Breathe in light through the top of the head, through the skin. Breathe air into the lungs and into your heart. As you breathe, be aware of how your lungs relax. Release any tightness in your chest, around your mouth. As you continue to breathe, be aware of the muscles in your face. Maybe you're scrunching up your face without knowing. Try to relax your jaw. As you continue to breathe in light through your head, neck, shoulders, torso, and breathe out down your back, your arms, your hands and fingers. Also breathe in the sacred light. Hangin, humihinga. Feel this breath and this light as nourishment for your entire body. This sacred breath circulates, bringing light and harmony to every cell within your body. This sacred breath and light works its way down your hips, backside, down your thighs, around your knees, legs, ankles, feet, and toes. And if you have some thoughts, random thoughts popping in, just let them float by. Be with us in this moment. And feel the tenderness that you're offering to yourself right now. Maybe you'd like to give this sacred light that is circulating through your body a color. And you can feel this color washing all over you as you continue to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in this light that goes from the top of your head all through your body to every cell in each of your organs. This sacred breath and light continues to circulate. And for the next moments, I invite you to say these statements with me. You can say them to yourself or out loud. I am the sacred breath. I am light. I am harmony. I am substance. I am the nurturer of life. And if you feel a little pull or ping in some part of your body, notice it and just let it go. And continue to repeat, I am the sacred breath. I am light. I am harmony. I am substance. I am the nurturer of life. So imagine this light that you carry in your heart. Remember where it is. Excuse me. So that you can go to it whenever you need it. And this light is protected in your heart. And when you're ready, feel free to give your fingers a little wiggle, give your toes a little wiggle, stretch if you need to. Open your eyes. So hopefully that was refreshing. I think sometimes when we are learning how to be more conscious of our breath, when there's too much air, it's hard to feel grounded, and maybe our thoughts are flying all over the place and we have a hard time sleeping. Sometimes there's too little air and it's hard to focus. But when we set time to actually take a moment and breathe and be intentional about our breathing or eating, hopefully it makes a difference. And just something to reflect on. What does it mean to surrender ourselves to the changing summer breezes? And what does it mean to take the time to breathe and be tender with ourselves? I know that is always a challenge for me. So I invite you to give yourselves more opportunities to be intentional about your eating and breathing. And I like to end every practice with a short poem, or poems I consider prayers most of the time, but a favorite poet of mine is Mary Oliver. And this poem is entitled Mindful. Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation. Nor am I talking about the exceptional, the fearful, the dreadful, the very extravagant, but of the ordinary, the common, the very drab, the daily presentations. Oh, good scholar, I say to myself, how can you help but grow wise with such teachings as these? The untrimmable light of the world, the ocean's shine, the prayers that are made out of grass. So thank you to Lily, Christine, and Fil-CHA for inviting me this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Sheelagh, also for taking time to be with us and to share this with us. I did also want to thank Christine Arlacan as definitely my co-host here. Thank you for helping with the setup. I do want to acknowledge Christine's also a member of Fil-CHA. So before, just to tie up the rest of this session, second, let me go to slideshow. We will put in the chat box a Google form. If you could just share your comments. Also, if there's other things you would like for us to have a webinar on, specifically focusing on mental health. And also, if you did enjoy this, let us know, and maybe we can have Sheelagh come back and do another, cycle of meditation. When I first spoke to her about putting this session together, she definitely kind of takes in consideration the time of the year, seasonal changes, as well as, connecting to, our roots, like particularly, Kapwa was the focus of today, but she definitely tied in the theme of we are in the midst of summer. So, that's something I just want to inform the group. But, we're always looking for other ideas. And also just to build on what we've already been doing. So we're bringing back Jay Pugao for the next one for vegan cooking. We've done karaoke. And, last one, we actually did an exercise class with Gia Palma. And we also want to have her come back and do variations of different types of ways of, really connecting to our mental health and our wellness, whether it be physical, just doing things that we also enjoy, as well as just taking time to take a breath and sit with each other in community. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, I just want to remind everybody, the We Can Do This campaign as a supporter of this webinar series, particularly the last two ones. So please make sure you and your family members are protected, especially with everyone being out now for the summer enjoying themselves. Make sure you're still keeping in line with the current protocols. And I don't think stress has gone away in this time of COVID. So they continue to update their resources. So again, in line with what we're talking about today, there are tips for coping with stress as during the time of COVID. So please take advantage of the resources. Last but not least, if you have any questions or you have more, would like to learn more about Fil-CHA, whether it be another committee or upcoming, projects and events that we have. Our website is filcha.org. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, And then for those of you who are interested in getting more involved with the mental health committee, we have our own email, and you can contact us at filcha.mentalhealth@gmail. So I think that's it for us today. Maraming salamat for everybody for joining, for Sheelagh for taking the time to share, this practice with us. And we hope to see you at the next one. So the next one is July 31st, same time. We will also have it on Zoom and also Facebook Live. We will we'll provide more information, look for the information this week on our social media. Thank you, everybody.